What happens when personal grudges fuel deadly betrayals? In today's breakdown, we're diving into Maeve's shocking deal with Richie, a move that turns blood ties into bargaining chips. Let's unpack the chaos, the manipulation, and the brutal consequences that follow. You're not going to want to miss this. Maeve's choice to make a deal with Richie is motivated more by personal bitterness than by actual tactical skill. On the surface, she presents it as a vital step in the ongoing struggle against Richie, a move designed to compel Conrad to act. But beyond that facade is a highly emotional and impulsive motivation. She despises her stepdaughter Seraphina and wishes to eliminate her. Maeve and Seraphina's hate is so strong that she is willing to sacrifice her just to get her out of the picture, even if it means jeopardizing Brendan, whom she genuinely loves. Back in Antwerp, Seraphina and Brendan are attempting to negotiate a ruby trade with two unscrupulous sellers, Samuel and Leonard. Seraphina's aggressive negotiation methods quickly jeopardize the entire arrangement, much to Brendan's dismay. Leonard insists on doing the transaction at a remote location, but only after a significant payment is made, a condition that immediately raises red flags for Seraphina. Sensing a setup, she rushes out of the conference and calls Lorenzo, a local fixer notorious for organizing protection on short notice. She thinks Leonard will accept her counteroffer to complete the transaction without a deposit, and she is correct. Leonard agrees, and Seraphina plans the following steps with Lorenzo, despite the high expense. To pay security costs, she increases her profit share from 75% to 90%, and Brendan, keen to impress Conrad, accepts the increased terms without complaint. Meanwhile, back in the Cotswolds, Maeve devises a much more diabolical scheme. Despite Conrad's rising discomfort and Maeve's casual attitude toward death, she contacts Richie and orders him to kill Seraphina while sparing Brendan. Her rationale? It's twofold. She wants Seraphina gone, and she feels Seraphina's death will be the emotional spark Conrad needs to finally stop hesitating and confront Richie head-on. Maeve believes that this is the action that will win the battle. However, her plan contains weaknesses. For starters, Richie would not have known Seraphina and Brendan's location if Maeve hadn't informed him. Left alone, they would have completed the ruby transaction and returned safely. Instead, Maeve turns a low-risk situation into a death trap, all because of her personal grudge. She treats her manipulation as if it were part of a strategy, but it is actually an emotional gamble, rather than a logical one. She underestimates Richie's recklessness and unpredictable nature while overestimating her capacity to govern the aftermath. The irony is thick. The Harrigans have never needed a reason to kill before, and they murdered Vron and Tommy without hesitation. So, why is Maeve suddenly playing this battle like chess when sheer force has always been their strategy? Her thirst for manipulation here seems out of place and overly convoluted. It would have been more logical to hit Richie directly, but she chooses betrayal disguised as strategy. Worse, Maeve expects Richie will accept her bait without question. Given Richie's past, his silence in this episode indicates his damaged state. He may appear to be in target, but silence does not necessarily imply trust. And if Richie has learned anything from his previous losses, he should know better than to blindly follow Maeve's example. Nonetheless, his lack of reaction and reliance on others indicate that he may be walking right into Maeve's trap, which, despite its sophisticated appearance, is horribly faulty and recklessly hazardous. Maeve is playing a hazardous game by using Seraphina's life to influence two unstable men, Richie and Conrad, into doing what she wants. However, her decision is motivated by spite rather than strategic considerations. By sacrificing Seraphina, she not only jeopardizes Brendan's safety, but also threatens to undermine everything the Harrigans are attempting to hold together. Finally, Maeve's collaboration with Richie demonstrates how deeply personal grudges can undermine strategic thinking. Her actions are motivated not by a rational desire to win a war, but by the simmering resentment of a woman who wishes to ruin her adversary and manipulate the men around her into doing the dirty work. Whether Maeve's strategy succeeds or fails is partly determined by whether Richie is actually as broken and naive as she believes. In any case, her betrayal has turned what should have been a simple transaction in Antwerp into a chaotic carnage waiting to happen. Thank you for watching.